Welcome to 28 and Searching. I'm your host, Samantha, and today I have Laura Taylor on with me. Hi, Laura. Thanks for coming on my show.
Thank you, Samantha. It's great to be here today.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you currently residing? How old are you? How many years have you been in your industry? That sort of thing.
Okay, great. Yes, I'm currently located in Seattle, Washington, in the West Seattle part of the town. I'm in my late 30s, and I've been working in the food and beverage industry for over 20 years. It's a little scary to think that and makes me feel old, but 6 of those years have been as a personal chef, and then the rest of the time I had a long career in event planning and catering sales with hotels and restaurants.
Okay, very cool. And so what exactly is your job title, and what does it mean that you do?
Okay, so I currently am owner and certified personal chef at a company called Honest to Goodness Personal Chef Services. We're based here in Seattle, and we serve the greater Seattle and East Side areas. And, what we do, a personal chef is somebody who's responsible for preparing customized meals, usually for multiple households each week, whether it's a busy professional couple, a family, or even an elderly client who just doesn't, want to cook for themselves anymore or has other health issues that need addressing. There is also a distinction as being a private chef where someone can cook exclusively for one client versus serving multiple people a week. And then a personal or a private chef will also serve in-home entertaining occasions such as birthday parties, holiday parties, dinner for two, anything like that where people can come together to entertain friends and family at home.
Okay. And so do you do all scopes of that? Does your business cover all of those different things?
We do. We're mostly on the personal chef side of things where we serve multiple clients a week. I mean, I personally have 4 households that I serve a week. There are other chefs on the team that will serve anywhere from 2 to 5 households a week. And then in addition to that, we'll pick up entertaining events on evenings and weekends.
Okay, very cool. And
Yeah, yeah.
so tell me how you kind of got here. How did you get to own your own personal chef business?
Yeah, so all of my working life has been in food service, mostly in event planning and catering sales, as I mentioned before. I worked for Marriott hotels and then also some high-end restaurants like El Gaucho, which is a family-owned restaurant company here in the Seattle area or the greater Northwest.
Hmm.
When I left El Gaucho, I was ready to just kind of move on. I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I felt like I always wanted to work for myself, have my own business. And at that point, I was just like, this is my time. I'm ready to do this. And so, I utilized all of my training, both, professional career experience plus my studies to put together a personal chef business. And it just feels like the right natural fit.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I graduated from Virginia Tech with a degree in hospitality and tourism management. And a lot of my coursework included classes in business as well as starting off in nutrition as well. So it really helped me hone my interest in health and food and cooking into a service that would be really valuable to people.
Okay. And so when you're talking about you being a personal chef, do you focus like I know there's a lot of specialties, right? So people who
Hmm.
focus on, weight loss or health and nutrition or, fancy elegant dinners. Do you have any specific kind of niche?
Gosh, that's such a common question. I mean, so often I get asked, "Oh, what's your specialty or what's your favorite cuisine?" And I always just say, honest, good food. That's where our company name came from. Because that's what we're about. It's just good cooking. Maybe it's some of our team members have a little bit more of a fine dining gourmet presentation with their meals, and then other people are just like classic home comfort food. But we do very much specialize in adapting to all types of dietary needs. I would
Okay.
say that that's our number one distinction amongst other personal chefs or catering companies in the area is the degree to which we will customize to your specific dietary needs, food sensitivities, all of that. We will meet with a client to really understand what kind of food they like and what they want so that we can cater to their specific preferences.
Okay, that's very cool. And so you said that you went to Virginia Tech and you have a
Mhm,
degree.
mhm.
Do you think that a degree is necessary for either being a personal chef or for owning your own company? Or both?
Yeah, I would say the food and beverage industry is definitely an on-the-job learning kind of experience. However, culinary school will give up-and-coming chefs a much greater foundation in classic cooking techniques and methods culinary graduates have a greater chance of starting at a higher position than somebody without formal culinary training. If you want to be self-employed and start or manage a business, I do think it's essential to take classes in business, sales, marketing, customer service, all of that. Personally, I don't have any formal culinary school training. Like Rachel Ray, I've just kind of taught myself what I know, and I continually learn from other chefs that I know, or just, gain ideas by researching food and recipes online or by watching cooking shows. And, that's just how you get better at what you do and what you can provide for your clients.
Okay, and so do you think that somebody could maybe they wouldn't need necessarily the degree, but maybe they just need to go after courses? So like, go online and you can teach yourself how to do this basically.
You can certainly teach yourself how to cook. It's great when you can have, formal training to learn techniques and methods. And what ingredients go well or what flavors or how, the timing of everything is certainly very important in what we do. Even if you don't do a full-on, associate's or bachelor's degree in a culinary program, even just taking, a class or 3 here or there will help you hone your skills.
Okay. And so speaking of, if you're going in to do experience, what is a good starting point for somebody who might be interested, who are like, okay, maybe I want to be a chef? Where can they go to start that journey?
Okay, yeah. People who want to become a personal chef or a private chef, you have to have a foundation of cooking, whether it's in a professional restaurant or hotel setting, or if you're a seasoned home cook with years of cooking experience for yourself and your own family.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when they're getting into an industry where they're trying to learn cooking, or being a chef, and they're going into culinary, is it a pretty decent job market, or is it like very competitive? What's it like to kind of get in to learn those things?
Yes. I would say work specifically as a personal chef is certainly a high demand industry. I started Honest to Goodness 6 years ago, and I feel like I got in at a good time where we could meet an ever increasing need for helping people who don't have time to cook, they don't like to cook, and people are really realizing that, I can hire somebody to cook for me, and that's okay. It used to be in the olden days that people had servants and maids and house cleaners and gardeners and all of that. And, our society, has gotten to that point again. But some people think, oh, hiring a personal chef is such a luxury thing and I can't afford it. But, really, I would say you can't afford not to, because your health is worth it. You make good money, or you make money and you want to continue making more money in your business or doing your lifestyle. And so, it's okay to say, I'm not good at cooking. I will pay somebody to do that for me. And, that's why I have a job. I feel like I'm always going to have a job because everybody needs to eat every single day, at least 3 times.
Yeah. And so, in your opinion, do you think that this job is just going to grow, this career of being a personal chef? Do you think it's just going to open more opportunities? It's going to be more in demand than it is?
I do. There's a number of different avenues of how people can get their food. There's a lot of online meal delivery services, or you can have a box of ingredients shipped to your house. Where we feel that we're different is that, the level of service and the personal relationship we have with our clients. If your interest or your price point is such that I just want ingredients shipped to me and I'll cook it myself, great. There's definitely a niche for that. But if, a client wants more service, or they want a personal relationship, they want more hand holding, they want somebody that they can call, last minute and say, hey, I need help with, a dinner party or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
That's where we can really add a lot more value.
Okay. And so what personality traits do you think work best in what you're doing?
I would say that serving others is in my soul. When you cook for somebody else, you are nurturing their body. You make a positive difference in their day and in their life. I'm also highly organized, and I have a refined sense of timing when it comes to the logistics of food preparation and service. And even though I'm an introvert, I know how to put myself out there and market myself and my company's services to take care of people.
So if you're doing this as your own business, marketing yourself is probably a big part of that, because, where do you post your, services at?
Yeah, from day one, I knew that having a good web presence would be important. Luckily, I know enough HTML skills to be dangerous enough to build my own website. And luckily, I've focused a lot of time and attention on that to make sure that we're established, that people can find us, that we have online reviews, and all of that. I haven't had to do a lot of paid advertising over the years, which is great. Work as a personal chef is very much a word of mouth, referral based business. So as long as I'm doing a good job for the people I'm serving, they're going to recommend me to their friends, or they'll hire me again, or whatever the case may be. I've also been very active in networking, whether it's through just keeping in touch with contacts that I've met over the years, or being involved in a networking group like BNI, which stands for Business Networking International. That's been critical for just helping to keep top of mind awareness, for my company. And then, we'll also market via social media outlets and all of that.
Yeah. So it sounds like that almost your marketing skills are going to be just as important as your personal chef skills when it comes to owning your business in this.
Absolutely. It's one thing to be able to cook for people, but where a lot of new personal chefs, or at least new to business, where they may run into trouble is that they don't necessarily have the business skills. I love to cook and I love being in the kitchen and serving dinner and making food for people, but I don't know how to find clients. I don't know how to build a website. I don't know how to, do accounting and bookkeeping. I don't know how to do social media. So it really is a unique combination of skills that you need in order to be successful in this business, unless you have the resources to where you can hire out consultants and other service providers to help you in those other areas.
Okay. And so what do you think is the one personality trait that if somebody has, they should just stay far away? Like, just don't become a personal chef. Don't own your own business in this industry. Just find something else you're good at.
Yeah, if you can't be self-disciplined or motivate yourself, it's just not going to work out well for you.
Yeah.
You've got to be focused, kind of put the nose to the grindstone when you need to. As a personal chef, we're very much nurturing, caring type of people. We love what we do and we put our hearts into the food that we make. And so it's hard sometimes not to take it personally if somebody criticizes your food.
Yeah.
So that can be a tough personality trait as well if somebody's going to be very sensitive to that kind of thing.
Okay. And so what is a part of your personality that is kind of struggled where you've either had to change yourself or change the way you were doing things to make you successful in your career choice?
Well, I'd say I like variety and I like new creative experiences. So sometimes I'm challenged when my work seems a little too routine, if I'm doing the same thing over and over. And it's not necessarily that I'm making the same food all the time, because I do make different food every week. But, there can be times where you get stuck in a rut and you're just like, I'm ready for a different kind of project or something else to put my focus on. Another trouble area for me is that because I'm so inclined to always care for others, I can be resentful when my work demands don't give me the time to take care of myself.
Yeah.
It's very easy to stretch yourself too thin and, oh, this person needs this and this person needs that. And I got to be here and there at this time and that time. And you realize you're burning both ends of the candle, and you got to be able to take care of yourself just as much as you're taking care of others.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if somebody, I know when owning your own business, you can obviously stretch and grow that in any way that you want. So there's not as much a corporate structure. Mm-hmm. But if somebody's a personal chef, is there like lateral moves you can make? Does it give you credentials to maybe go into, like, let's say you can't own your own business, but you want to go be a chef somewhere else? Does it give you those kind of credentials to do that?
I believe that if you start off as a personal chef, whether it's for yourself or if you're working for another company doing personal chef work, you can certainly move into owning your own business, or you can take those skills and work for a catering company, or you can, get into working in hotels or restaurants. It just depends on kind of what your interests are in cooking. I started, honest to goodness, by working for myself, and in the last 6 years, business demand has grown to the point where I was able to build a company, including a team of chefs that serve the greater Seattle and East Side areas. You can expand. A personal chef business could add catering services to their business. And there's definitely, I would think, I feel like there's a fine line between being a personal chef and being a caterer. Um, there's definitely some logistics and legalities to work around. We operate in a situation where we cook on site in our clients' homes versus making food off site and then delivering it. So it just kind of depends on what kind of business model you want and how you want to expand. Years of experience as a personal chef can also lead to a more lucrative private chef position with a high wealth client or a celebrity even.
Okay, yeah, where they are there all the time, basically.
Exactly. It's basically a full-time job, maybe a salaried position as a domestic worker for a specific household.
Okay. And so, what are some of the traits you look for when you hire personal chefs?
Certainly, it's a given that you have to be able to cook. That's
Do you
bare
do like a
minimum.
cook-off? Do you make them cook for you?
I do. Actually, I employ a two-step interview process, the first of which is just an in-person meet and greet, standard interview question type of meeting. And then from that point, depending on my sense of that person and if I feel like he or she would be a good fit for our company, I invite them to a second interview, which is a cooking demonstration. This is where I get a little spoiled in that they come cook for me, so I've got some food that I can enjoy in a week. And even though that may sound like a great incentive, really the purpose of that interview is to give a prospective employee a day in the life. This is what it means to plan a menu, do some grocery shopping, show up in an unfamiliar home, and prepare a certain number of meals in a certain amount of time, clean up the kitchen, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's kind of my recruiting process. I've also had occasions where I will extend a job shadow type of interview to a candidate who is, seems to be a good fit. They really, really want to do this. And they just want to kind of work with me on site somewhere to see, okay, how does she do this job?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll recruit at local culinary schools. Certainly the chefs that are on my team, I'm always asking, who do you know, or do you have any friends that you think that this would be a good fit for? And then otherwise I'll utilize some, more mainstream job searching sites to post a job.
Is the job market for this pretty open? Like, if somebody wanted to be a personal chef, how competitive would it be for them to get a position?
It's really hard finding good help these days. And I hate to use the word help, so let me kind of retract that.
Yeah.
Um, the combination of skills that I am looking for, I feel is very specific. And, people, the luckily unemployment rate is lower, so people are more employed than they used to be. There are a lot of options based on how you want to utilize your cooking skills and in what setting. And it's really, challenging for me to find good people with the skills that I want and need and who can live up to our brand standards and values and support the reputation that we've established in our market. Unfortunately, our company has experienced employee turnover in recent years, and any business is going to experience that, but it doesn't necessarily make it any easier
Yeah.
when you lose a chef who's really good, who's great at what he or she does, takes great care of their clients. Maybe they're moving on because they want to pursue a different career outlet, or they're moving out of the area altogether. And then, you just have to find somebody else to replace that person and, figure out what to do with the clients that they've been serving so that they don't have any gap in their services.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't spoken to a personal chef yet, but I have talked to other people in the restaurant industries, and they're
Hmm.
having the same problems of finding people who want to be there.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of the jobs that used to be kind of go-to jobs that even make decent pay are struggling finding good, talented people.
Absolutely. And, I do pay more than a restaurant will pay. We have a pretty lucrative, hourly rate.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's necessary to attract, good talent, the type of people that we want to employ, as well as balance out the fact that you're not going to necessarily be getting 40 hours every single week. You might get 20 to 30 hours. So I want to pay you more for fewer hours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have the opportunity to work a second job on the weekend, that will help you make even more money to pay your bills.
Yeah. And so I I mean, would that be one of the drawbacks to maybe doing this, is that it's not guaranteed time?
Anybody I hire comes in with the knowledge that this is a part-time job.
Okay.
Generally the range is 10 on the high end to 35 hours per week. The goal is to have a consistent, solid, weekly number of hours with the opportunity to grow to full-time based on business demand and your own ability to do a great job for your clients and retain business and that kind of thing.
Okay. And so what are some of the other drawbacks that people should consider when they're thinking about making this a career choice?
Being a personal chef definitely has long hours, at least for 2 years, especially if you're starting your own business from scratch. I started this business, or part of the reason why it was attractive to me, in addition to just my love of cooking, was that there were low barriers of entry and startup costs, since it's a service-based business and there's not a lot of overhead. It can be very challenging to have a consistent amount of work paying what you need to make a living, especially in the early stages of your business. I believe that I'm solely responsible for my own success or failure in this career choice.
Yeah.
And there have been, many an 80+ hour work week in my days. Something that else that people don't necessarily think of or are able to manage is both the cooking for people aspect, where you make your money, in addition to doing what it takes to actually manage and market the business. And I'm speaking more so from the business owner perspective, but people that work for me are attracted to work for my company because we are an established business. We have the foundation, we have the structure and the resources so that they can focus more so on cooking. They don't have to market themselves and run a business. They can just, work for us. We find the clients, or the clients come to us, and then we can give them work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is it odd going into other people's homes?
It more often than not, I would say it's not.
Okay.
That's just part of what we do every single day. Every home is different. Every kitchen is different. Whether it's a small kitchen, a large kitchen, something well supplied, something not well supplied. That's just part of what we do. So you definitely have to be resourceful, be able to adapt. A lot of times I'll walk into somebody's kitchen and I just make myself at home. I just start opening cabinets and drawers and figuring out what's where, and I'm rummaging through your pantry and your fridge and just pulling out ingredients and just making it happen.
Yeah, okay. And so this one's always a little bit of a tough question for people, but what has been the worst day of your career so far?
I'm going to extend that to not just a worst day, but the absolute worst period of my career
Oh no.
was, in December 2016, my company was slammed with holiday parties in addition to our standard weekly client load. There was a lot of employee turnover just before the holiday season,
Oh
which
no.
was the first time that I had really experienced employee turnover. So most of the workload ended up being on my plate to cook and serve events almost every single day of the month. Events, daytime or evening, in addition to serving the clients that we serve on a weekly basis, which is normally during the daytime.
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with pre-event anxiety. And,
Oh no.
usually December holiday season, we expect to be busy for like the first 2, maybe 3 weeks of the month. But that particular December, we were booked nonstop, basically from December 1 to 31. I remember I was just so exhausted, so frustrated, so depressed. I was crying on the way to a client's house to make their Christmas Eve dinner. I'd get my stuff together while I was there to execute, put on a happy face, all of that. And then I cried all the way home. And then the next day, we had a Christmas Day luncheon for a family group of 50 people in somebody's home. So I wake up early, I'm getting everything ready for that, crying on the way to their house, dabbing on more makeup, and then crying on the way home after their party.
Oh
So I
my
was just like,
gosh.
I'm done. This is not fun. I'm grateful for the business. I'm grateful for the money, but I'm also killing myself to do this.
Yeah, oh yeah. And it's your business, so there's nothing you can, like, it falls on you at that point. So you have to be ready for that.
Exactly. And even though I had other employees and chefs that they would do their own events or we would work events together, there was just too much, demand. And it's hard to say no sometimes when the business is there and people want to hire you. And, it's like, okay, well, this is where we make our money. And it's going to be a really challenging month, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we go on the flip side of that, what's been the best day of your career?
I've had many great days in my career as a personal chef, whether it's a client weight loss success story or some crazy jump through the hoops scenario to pull off an event in a short amount of time. It's also been really cool to prepare somebody's wedding dinner if they just have, an intimate in-home wedding and you're there to be a part of their special day. That kind of stuff is cool.
Yeah, wouldn't have even thought about that. That would be pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
why not, right?
Exactly. And, that's obviously a day that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives as long as they're married. And,
Yeah,
they'll think about, what a great meal it was and the time that they were able to spend with their friends and family.
that's very cool. And so, going off of that, what are some of the other benefits that you get from, being a personal chef and owning your own personal chef business?
Okay. Well, it amazes me how much people trust me with what they put in their bodies and in their kids' bodies. My work is definitely a very intimate personal relationship where you're in somebody's home and you're influencing their health. Clients will open up to me about their weight, their health struggles. They feel incompetent in the kitchen as a wife or a mother, bathroom habits, and more. Okay, maybe not the bathroom habits. It's not really a benefit, but it does come with the job. And it does make me proud when a client can say he or she has lost 20 to 50 pounds just by eating what you cook for them.
Yeah.
As my business has grown and I've been able to hire a team of other food professionals, I also find a lot of value in being an industry leader who can mentor people into life as a personal chef. So that's pretty cool, and it just makes me feel like, I know what I'm doing. People trust and respect me, and they want to learn from what I can do so that they can be successful in their own careers and lives.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Being self-employed is not an easy road to take, especially when you start something from scratch. And so I guess personally, I'm, proud to say that I was able to purchase my own home, a couple years ago as a self-employed business owner, which, banks are not offering
Yeah,
to,
that's amazing.
they don't want to lend money to somebody who doesn't have established, work history and revenue and all that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And I've also been able to travel. Traveling around the world is super important to me. And I'm like, I need to be able to take time off from my business and know that things are going to be okay while I'm gone so that I can go somewhere for a week or two.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get a lot of freedom doing it.
There is freedom. Yes, I can certainly dictate my own schedule. If I want to be at home at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon watching TV, I can. I'll tell you that doesn't happen very often, but yes, you can decide how busy you want to be and how not busy you want to be at times.
Okay. And so what was the thing that made you fall in love with what you do?
I love to cook. Food is my art form. It's my way of creatively expressing myself and how I can best show love towards my friends, family, and my clients.
Okay. And what was kind of the moment where you were like, I'm gonna be a personal chef? Because it'd be there are far easier routes to cook food.
Yes, for sure. When I left my last job, I was thinking, what do I love to do? What's a problem that needs solving? What is something that people would be willing to pay me to do for them? And, cooking for people just was like the first thing that popped into my mind. This was also at a time where, of course, food shows and cooking shows have been huge on TV. And so, not that I would ever have my own TV show, but I'm like, if I did have my own show, what would it be called? And the name Honest to Goodness just popped into mind because I feel like that's who I am, my values, and the kind of food that I make.
Yeah.
So I just felt like, knowing that I wanted to solve a problem for people, especially with addressing America's health crisis, and how could I do that through cooking, that was going to be the right thing for me to do and how I could serve others. People don't cook for themselves anymore the way we used to, and that has led to eating out in restaurants or you choose cheap foods of convenience. And so that's why a lot of people struggle with obesity and diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and so many other things that can be, changed by what they eat.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is there any sort of like when it comes to chefs, because I've heard a lot about like chefs in restaurants and how
Hmm.
there's a pretty high burnout rate. So
Yes.
chefs in restaurants typically have a lot of turnover.
Hmm.
What about in your experience as a personal chef?
I would say it can be very similar. Years ago when I was going away to college and what do I want to be when I grow up? I wanted to be, have my own restaurant and be a chef and focus on healthy food. But I thought that, going to culinary school might ruin my love for cooking. And I knew the hours that executive chefs put into their business. And I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do that. So, I spent a long time in event planning, and then, it was kind of cool when I decided to start my own thing, being a personal chef. I was just like, you know what? I can have my own restaurant. It's called, somebody else's home, and so I just felt like it was kind of a full circle kind of thing.
Okay.
There's definitely burnout in this business. You can definitely put in a ton more hours taking care of other people and working hard to, make money and pay the bills. There's definitely times where I don't want to cook for myself, and
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
grateful for FBO, food by others. So, when you hit that moment, you've just got to kind of take a deep breath, retool, and remember why you're doing what you're doing. And, how can I take care of myself so that I can better serve others? I oftentimes use the analogy of like when you're on the airplane and they say, if your oxygen mask falls, put that on yourself before you put it on your kids or the person next to you.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to do that for yourself too.
Absolutely. And so if somebody is like you were saying, thinking about opening a restaurant, but they're not sure they want to do that, is this a good alternative for them to do, or is it kind of very different?
I would say it's a good alternative in that there's certainly much lower startup costs doing a service-based business like this versus having a brick and mortar restaurant and hiring people and inventory and all of that. Just know that it will take you longer to get going. You've got to really put yourself out there and network and tell people who you are and what you do, and prove that you're worth hiring to cook for somebody.
Okay. And do you have to have, as the business owner, do you have to have insurance for something like this?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
There are some business models out there. I won't name names, but they try to sell on, hey, hire your neighbor to make your food for you. Well, your neighbor may not have food safety and sanitation training. They may not have, you know, most people's homes are not certified by the public health department.
Sure, yeah.
Um, so, early on, about a year after I started this business, I did join the United States Personal Chef Association, which has been super valuable in a continuing education forum, plus educational conferences. But aside from that, the price of membership alone provides your general liability insurance, and that's
Okay.
completely worth it. So we are a fully licensed and insured company. Each of my chefs has insurance that protects us cooking in a client's home, or if we're in an event, we can get out separate event insurance. And I can't imagine operating a business any other way.
Okay. And
So
so when you go into people's homes, do you bring your own tools or groceries or any of that kind of stuff?
we prefer to use the cooking equipment that they have on site.
Okay.
There are personal chefs that will bring in their own pots and pans and blenders and mixing bowls and spatulas and whatever. But from day one, I was just like, there's no need for us to be hauling that equipment, hauling heavy pots and pans, and risking our health or safety. So we do use their cooking equipment and their dishes. We put food in their storage containers or their casserole dishes or Tupperware kind of things.
Sure.
And then, everything is completely cleaned up by the time we're done. However, we will do the grocery shopping for whatever food we need to execute a menu. And so we'll show up with groceries in hand and, do all of our cooking from there.
Okay, very cool. And this is just a question that automatically pops into my mind. If I was thinking about being a personal chef, I would want to know that are there any occurrences where you go into somebody's house and you don't feel safe?
Rarely does that happen.
Okay.
I had one situation where there was a single gentleman who was basically mobily impaired, I guess. He was housebound. He had some health challenges and couldn't get around very easily. And it was not necessarily a clean environment. And I just had kind of a weird sense about it. So you definitely need to pay attention to your intuition on that. He was not creepy or weird. There was nothing untoward or anything like that. And everything was fine. I served him for almost 2 years. So we definitely always do a consultation with our clients in their home before we agree to move forward with services. And that allows us to preview where we're going, what environment we're in, make sure that we're safe, make sure that they feel comfortable with who we are and what we're doing, and that, establish that initial level of trust.
Okay. And so if somebody's looking at doing this, they need to be able to establish that comfort. So they need to be able to walk outside of themselves for a minute. Because I know that that's something that some people struggle with. My husband did construction, and he was always really weird about going in people's homes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you've got to be able to get over, right?
Absolutely. Yep. You've got to walk in like it's your home, or that you can treat it as your home, that it's a warm, friendly, welcoming environment. Aside from just cooking people's food, we also have kind of kitchen management functions where we can keep things clean and organized, and we'll empty your dishwasher and all those kind of things. So I treat my clients' homes as if it were my own. And if there's anything that ever gives us cause for suspicion, or if a client inadvertently flirts with us or something, that doesn't happen very often at all. But if it does, that's something that I'm going to address, both with the client and with the chef, to make sure that they feel safe and secure.
Okay. All right. So that's good to know. You have to be, and I would assume you almost have to be kind of assertive too, because you have to be able to make that decision. Because I've talked to other, people who do services or consulting, and they talk about how, sometimes it's just not the right fit. Like sometimes you just have to put your foot down, say this is not right for whatever reason.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with you, because like in a restaurant, they don't have that luxury, right? They serve whoever comes in.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I have diplomatic ways of saying if something is not the right fit, or if we're not the right fit for them for whatever reason. I don't ever want to make it a personal attack on a client. But if I feel like another chef or another service will better suit their needs, I am glad to make that recommendation, and that ultimately helps me look better, because I'm providing a solution for them that they're looking for.
Okay.
And certainly pricing and budget is part of our conversation regularly. And so if somebody is unable to afford, the level of service that we provide, I have alternate options for them in other services that I trust.
Okay. Oh, that's fair enough. And so what was your first job, and what value do you think it brought into your life?
My very first paid job was when I was 15. I was able to get a worker's permit since I couldn't fully legally work. And I worked for a private school uniforms company. And so people who attended private schools where their kids needed uniforms, they would shop at this store and buy whatever plaid was the plaid for their school kind of thing. So that first year I worked kind of in the back stocking orders and things like that. I wasn't allowed to be out on the floor interacting with public consumers. I did work there the summer following, where I was 16 at that point, and I was, selling uniforms, helping fit people for shirt sizes and pant sizes, and selling bows and belts and accessories and all that kind of thing. And, what I learned from that was certainly, customer service skills. I was incentivized to, let's see which employee can sell the most accessories this month, and you'll be credited a quarter per bow or sock that you sell. And there was one month where I sold more accessories than anybody else at the store, so I think I got like maybe an extra $50 on my paycheck, which was pretty cool when you're 16 years old.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it almost seems like those directly transfer to what you're doing now. Because you basically got a taste for doing the work and getting paid for it, and then working with other people.
Exactly. Yep. And listening to clients, understanding what are they looking for, what product or service do I have that will fit your need and that will, provide a solution to your problem.
Yeah. Okay. And so currently, does your business have any expansion plans?
I would say, for honest to goodness, we just want to continue growing the business at a manageable level. We don't want to necessarily explode and have 20 chefs within our company. We would rather focus on quality over quantity.
Sure.
So I think as long as we can continue to do a great job with the clients that we currently have and any new business that comes in, we will hire a couple more chefs this year to probably have, 5 or 6 total chefs so that we can serve, a variety of opportunities.
Yeah.
We also want to launch a new service this year called dailydinnerplans.com. And this is a subscription-based service that would provide weekly menu plans and recipes who like to cook, but they just need some new food ideas and maybe an outline plan of, here's 7 dinner recipes that you can make for your family this week.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Just send me the link and I'll update when it's all put up and everything.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, it's not a brand new idea. There's plenty of other, online sources to do that kind of thing. So we don't expect to have a huge piece of the pie when it comes to that. But if we could have, 25 or 50 subscribers a month, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I've developed a brand for myself as a travel vacation chef. That's called The Dinner Whisperer.
Oh, wow.
You can go to thedinnerwhisperer.com to learn about what I can do if you want a chef for your vacation or if you want to hire me to go to any destination to serve a specific event. I want to be able to travel with my work in addition to still owning and managing Honest to Goodness. And this year, I'm going to make it happen. I intend to publish my very first book. It's something that I started 6 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since. And, it's been backburnered as I've had to attend to business and making money and that kind of thing. But I'm definitely focused on getting that book published this year.
So you actually have a lot going on, a lot of expansion happening.
Yes.
Very, very cool.
Thank you.
And so we've kind of gone through what it means to be a personal chef and what it means to own your own business. I just got a few more questions for you.
Okay.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to have my own healthy restaurant.
So now you do, in other
Yep.
people's homes.
Yes.
Perfect. What is the best piece of advice, of business advice, you've received?
Well, I've read several business books throughout my career. In one of the books that I read maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it's the author is Susan Wilson Solovic. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. The book is called It's Your Biz, The Complete Guide to Becoming Your Own Boss.
Okay.
There was a statement that really stood out to me. It said that most people think they are starting a new business, but what they're really doing is just starting a new job for themselves. Your business is not really a business until it is sustainable, meaning that it can make money even when you're not working. So you're making money when you're sleeping or if you're on vacation, or you hire people that are doing the work for you and your company to make revenue while you're focused on other activities. And that really stuck out with me because I was like, this has to be a sustainable business. And maybe one day I'll sell it. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but you just don't know. Sure. And, you hear a lot about how, diversifying in streams of revenue. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's, something that has been in my mind ever since then.
Yeah, and I've never thought of it quite that way. So that's pretty. I love that piece of advice. I'm going to take that myself.
All right, you can have it.
And what is something you would tell someone who's currently feeling down or, kind of in a bad way about what they're doing and wants to find something they're passionate about?
I feel very strongly and agree with the statement. I think it was by either Maya Angelou or Eleanor Roosevelt. They said, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, then change your attitude. And, luckily, if you're self-employed or want to start a business, you have the opportunity to be whoever you want to be and create whatever you want to create. And there's going to be ups and downs. You'll learn things along the way, and that just helps you be better at what you're doing and the way you do it. So I think, if something's not working out for you, have the courage to, make a change. And it's okay. You got to take some risks in life, and you're going to be all the better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on my show, and I wish you all the best of luck. I'm excited to see what happens.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. This is great, and I hope I've been able to inspire some of your listeners and would gladly welcome any opportunity to talk with you again.
If you like this episode or you're looking to change your career, go to 28andsearching.com or become a patron to get exclusive content sent directly to you. See you next week.